All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to uh, lectures, tutorials on listening, the listening test of the IELTS um, exam or test. Now we've considered part one, that's section one. Two, we will be tackling section three. As I made it known in section two and section three are quite similar. The only change in there or the changes in there are one, there are no map or diagram questions within section 3. Likewise, there is no um, I mean section 3 is more of a formal kind of thing between two speakers, whereas that of section 2 is only one speaker giving forth information. Now, for you to be able to answer questions over here, you should be able to identify who is saying what. You should be able to identify who is saying what. Because it's a conversation between two individuals, most often the preamble before the start of section 3 will indicate to you the speakers, right, by name, with which you can identify them within the test questions. All right. So going forward, you take it, you see how they present it. Okay. Now, your ability to know and understand who is speaking will help you identify who said what in order to pick the correct answer. Now, it can be that the first speaker and the second speaker might be agreeing on something. It can also be that they might be disagreeing on something. It can also be that one agrees, the other side disagrees. And these are all kind of questions that they can pop up within the section 3. That's the section that we are about to treat. All right. So let's dive in. Now, as I said earlier, it's a two-way conversation between two speakers, and it's mostly an academic topic. So either they are talking about presentation, an experiment, a research, a survey, or thesis, project, okay, even a presentation, all right, they can be discussing that in there. And these two people could be a student and a tutor, or probably two students trying to work on their thesis or project or like presentation, and they'll be talking about their project and a whole lot. And you have to decipher what they are about, what they are saying, and its connection with the questions that are being asked from question number 30, question number 21 to 30. Okay, and these answers comes in order. Now, the let me pick out my pointer, pick the pen rather. The answers actually comes in order in a sense that if you are not answering question number 21, you're not getting to 22. Likewise, if you know that you have heard the answer for question number 22, it means the answer of question number 21 has been said earlier. All right, so that's how it works. Now, there are two type of questions that you see here. We have the multiple choice, okay, which can come in this format. That is um, 5 answers, okay, 5 answers or 5 options, and you got to choose two. All right, you got to choose two. Likewise, this. Okay, now there are also um, these multiple choice questions that have three options and you got to go for one. All right, just opt for one answer from the options that have been given. Okay, so with these kind of questions, you have to listen carefully. In fact, you have to listen to who is saying what, who is saying, who is speaking. Oh, is it a tutor or a student, or is it student A or student B who is giving forth their information? And you have to identify them by name. All right. Okay, so apart from these multiple choice question, I think the next question type is the matching kind of questions where you pick a certain set of answers, okay, into specific spaces. I think we will discuss that one next. Now let's dive into this one. As I said earlier, you have to identify who is speaking. And let's check out this planning a presentation on nanotechnology. Okay, nanotechnology is just a technology of the micro level, like so deep that they are 10, like very small substances. Okay, and it seems someone is trying to present something on it. Over here, we can say Ras says that his difficulty in planning the presentation is due to. So we have Ras here. So Ras is the name of someone who is probably the person presenting what? The presentation. Who will be giving forward the presentation or planning the presentation. Now, before you start question number 21, okay, the speaker will introduce this section and he or she will inform you that it's actually this topic that you are about to treat, and it is between Ras, who is probably a student, and over here we can see it, his tutor. Okay, so a conversation between Ras, who is a student, and that of what? His tutor. The two have two different kind of um, tonation when it comes to speaking. So you have a contrast between those two voices, and you can easily identify who is speaking. So whenever going forward, you take one example and you go through, you will see how these voices are, and it will help you identify who is speaking so that you can listen keenly when that fellow is speaking to help you pick out your what? Your answer. All right, so it's a conversation between Rice and the tutor. And the second question say Rice and his tutor agrees. So you should be listening for something that this and that student and tutor all agrees upon within these options. Okay, so these three options, there's one thing that the tutor and Rice, okay, or the student agrees upon. Now, in connection with slides, so this is a what you call a signal or a signpost. Okay, so they will certainly talk about slides. They will certainly talk about what slides. So if you hear, oh, now let's talk about your slides. You know that they are on this, and you have to be looking out for um the advice that Twitter gave to us. Okay, in here in these options, just one of them is an advice. And you have to listen keenly and pick out their answer. Okay. Now they say they both agree. Now you see, okay, so teacher and Ras and his teacher agrees. This that same similar question, they both agree. Now you get the point I'm making. So if you are able to identify who is speaking, whenever they come to a consensus, you will get to know which answer or what they are actually saying. which will inform you of the answer to pick. Okay, they both agree that the best way for us to start his presentation is, I have your options: encourage the audience to talk, explain what Ras intend to do, and provide an example. Okay, so both of them will settle on one of these. So as they speak, they will give forth the answer. Now the last question is, what does the tutor advise Ras Ruth, okay, to do next while preparing for his what presentation? So that will be coming from who? The tutor. So the tutor will be looking out and be listening carefully to whatever the tutor says, so that we can find these answers over here. It's supposed to be three. One may not show on the screen. Just so that's how you go about identifying the speakers and following suit to listen to them keenly and pick out your answer. Now, the approach that we use in answering questions within section 2 is that same approach that we use over here. All right. So first, we read the question. We actually, the most important thing is to identify who is speaking. So here we underline Ras says. The next thing, what? Difficulty planning and presentation. So these are the keywords. All right. And if you come over here, you can underline uncertainty, underline lack of knowledge, okay, and short time. Those are the key things that we can underline, and you'll be looking out for these as he speaks. Okay, looking out for these as he speaks. So as soon as he says it, we just pick out the answer. If it's short time, we just pick out the answer and we move next. What Ras and the teacher agrees that his approach, so the approach in the presentation will be, okay, it is to concentrate on how nanotechnology is used in one field, it to follow chronological development of nanotechnology, or what, to show the range of what applications. So these are keywords. I've just underlined the keyword. So concentrate nanotechnology, one field, chronological development of nanotechnology, and this one is what, a range of applications of what, nanotechnology. So we'll be listening keenly for what is the student, that's Ras, and the tutor will settle on. All right, and when they settle on it, we just pick our answer and we move. As I talk about the signposts, okay, they will surely show you slides. They will say it boldly, and that will indicate to you they're talking about this question, and you'll be looking out for what the tutor's advice. So we'll be listening keenly for what the tutor says to what, to us. All right, and over here we talk about things he can find slides to illustrate. So things to illustrate. All right, and look for slides to illustrate the point he makes. So slide to illustrate point he makes, and consider omitting slide altogether. Omitting slide altogether. So what will the tutor say? What will the tutor say? Right? And with this kind of keyword underlining, okay, whenever you have been given 30 seconds to look through question number 21 to 25, okay, be sure that you can use that 30 seconds to go through this swiftly and underline all the keywords in there, okay, and be sure that you can get about sometimes you can get 3 questions of multiple choice, and the rest might be the matching. Sometimes you can get 4, other times you can get 5, sometimes you can get 6. Okay, so it varies. It's not static that you get 5 um multiple choice questions which you have to opt for 5 answers, then you go for 5 fillings. No, it varies. All right, sometimes you end up getting the fillings from question number 21 to 26, just like this question over here. Okay, the questions over here, question number 21 to 26, they were all fillings, and the multiple choice were these kind of multiple choice where you opt for 2 answers out of 5. All right, and I think we've discussed this approach in our previous section, that is section 2. All right, now let's read this question sample together. So which 2 things, okay, so you're looking for 2 things which will what surprise the student about traffic light systems for what nutritional labels. So these are our keywords. All right, and over here I mostly encourage students to either use the first, third, and fifth method, that is underlying the first one, coming over here, how so little research was done before its introduction, and coming to the last one, the way that certain colors are used. Okay, so this kind of give you a little bit of contrast. Even though you haven't read B and D, you have read A, C, and E. All right, so concentrating that, okay, this one is what unpopularity, and this one what fact about what voluntary the fact that it is voluntary for what supermarkets. Okay, so you'll be listening for what surprises them, and be sure that they can use or they will use synonyms for surprise, amazed, flabbergasted. They'll be using all these things in there. So your ability to know synonyms and plural expressions for the words greatly helps you to identify the answer with ease. And whenever you hear about an answer which is correct, just slash it. Okay, let's say you hear this, slash it out, and be listening for the rest. Okay, and if you hear the next one, sometimes they might say something which certainly they will all disprove that, oh, they weren't surprised by it. So that one you can just cancel it out just like this, knowing that you are not coming to look at that answer because the speakers has already said they weren't surprised about it, or they weren't amazed, like it's a normal thing to them. That will help you narrow down on the options so that you can what you can look out for the correct answers going forward. Okay, the same thing applies to this. um the which 2 things are true about the participants in the study. All right, so we have to listen carefully for things that are true. Okay, and these are the options you are going for too. All right, so this is how you go about solving the multiple choice questions. Okay, and I believe you will do a great job whenever you are being given such questions to solve. We'll go through one together, so stay put. All right, now let's look at the second type of question that you get, that is the matching. Okay, so just like the matching in section 2, the two speakers will be talking about certain things, and they will agree on certain aspects or certain issues, which will be on they will state that, oh, let's talk about, let's say, structure. So this structure that you are talking about, what do they agree on? Okay, within these options that have been given. And remember that the answer that you are picking is just A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You are not going to write all these. That's why you say, first of all, you do what? You read instructions. So choose 5 answers from what? The box. And write the correct letter A to E next to question number 26 to 30. All right. So that's how it is. And the question is, what comment do the speakers, so both of them, make about each of the following aspects of what? The presentation, Ra's previous presentation. So they will indicate that, oh, have you had any previous presentation? They'll say yes. How did it go? How was the structure? And they will start what? Discussing it. So aspect of Ra's previous presentation. All right. And you'll be listening to the comments they make. So comments about structure, both of them will agree on. It's what will be the answer that you will pick. Okay. So if you say the structure is covered a wide range, you pick the answer, you cross it out. And you know that this one is your F. Eye contact, and you say it's somewhat distracting. Let's say if that's the answer. You pick it, you pick your D here. Okay. And as the options reduces, it becomes what? Very easy for you to identify the rest. Okay, so the speakers, they will be talking, they will agree on certain things, and those are the ones that you have to listen for, pick the answers, and cross them out. Likewise for this kind of the chart over here. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, the one on your far right of the screen. Okay, now you have these A to H within this box, and out of these options you'll be filling it within these. And over here your keywords comes in. Select seed of different, and so the speaker or the speakers will be speaking, and this is what we call a flow chart. Okay, this is what we call a flow chart. Let me pick the eraser and clean this thing. So you see, this is what we call a flow chart. So it follows a pattern. It follows one to the other, one to the other. So if you are not hearing this, you are not hearing that. Okay. So what you have to take cognition of is be mindful of the things over here, the things within the box. You have to read them because they are very easy. They are just one word. Okay. They're just one word. So it's very easy for you to notice them. And one thing is that the speaker will say it outrightly. Okay, so if it's about color, weight, condition, they'll just say it outrightly. All right. So first of all, you have to underline your keywords, mostly those that comes. So decide on something to use. Use different or use a different for each seed and label it. So you identify this one is quite like a container or something, but you don't know unless the speaker gets there, right? So we can anticipate some of the answers. However, we have to be sure that what the speaker is saying is what we are opting in here for this kind of flowchart matching type of what questions. Okay, so that's how you go about it. First of all, you identify the content within this box. So we have container, soil, weight, condition, weight, height, color, types, and depth. Okay, now you underline your keywords in here right before and right after the blank spaces. Thereafter, you listen keenly as they talk about it. So as you hear the answer for 26, select C of different dash and size. Okay, so say if you think it's different color and size, fine. If it's different weight and size, that's also okay, based on what the speaker is saying. If the speaker says based on weight and size, you go for C and you cross it out and you write your C over there. So measure and record the dash and size of each one. So you measure and record probably the height, probably the color, probably the depth, something that you can record. You can record height, right, in figures. You can record color as in the type of color, right? Likewise, you can record depth as in how deep something is. We can record even weight. Okay, so it depends on what the speaker or the speakers will talk about. Okay, and you just pick your answer. If it's E, you write your E over there, you cross it out and you listen. Decide on the dash to be used. Probably soil or container, whatever it is, just pick your answer. If it's soil, okay, put your B over there and let's go. Use a different dash for each seat, probably different container. We come and pick our A, okay, and we proceed. Listening to the next one as we look out for those that we haven't opted for. Okay, so since we haven't went in for these answers, they will be the answers that might be coming up next, and we have to be looking out for them. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is question number 30, 20 to 30, which is section 3. And the overview is that there are two speakers and you get multiple choice questions and matching questions in there. And you just have to follow the structure that I have taught you and use that approach in answering these questions. They are not that difficult. Sometimes they can try to trick you by trying to agree on something first, and later on, as the conversation goes ahead, they kind of settle on a different thing, especially when it comes to um, the multiple choice, the three, the option threes, the three options kind of multiple choice. They sometimes do that, so we have to be wary of it. And the goal here is to practice more, because practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the more you can figure out what they do, and the more you can know what they are trying to do in order to pick out your correct answers whenever you have these kind of questions. All right, so going ahead, we will go through one section altogether and we will see how that one goes and how to answer them. So thank you very much, and let's check out our tags altogether.
You will hear two veterinary science students called Part 3. You will hear two veterinary science students called Diana and Tim discussing their work placements and their course modules. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
So, Tim, we have to do a short summary of our work experience on the farm.
Right. My farm was great, but arranging the work experience was hard. One problem was it was miles away and I don't drive. And also, I'd really wanted a placement for a month, but I could only get one for 2 weeks.
I was lucky. The farmer let me stay on the farm, so I didn't have to travel. But finding the right sort of farm to apply to wasn't easy.
No, they don't seem to have websites, do they? I found mine through a friend of my mother's, but it wasn't easy.
No.
My farm was mostly livestock, especially sheep. I really enjoyed helping out with them. I was up most of one night helping a sheep deliver a lamb.
On your own?
No, the farmer was there, and he told me what to do. It wasn't a straightforward birth, but I managed. It was a great feeling to see the lamb stagger to its feet and start feeding almost straight away, and to know that it was okay. Then another time, a lamb had broken its leg, and they got the vet in to set it, and he talked me through what he was doing. That was really useful.
Yes, my farm had sheep too. The farm was in a valley, and they had a lowland breed called Suffolks, although the farmer said they'd had other breeds in the past.
So were they bred for their meat?
Mostly, yes. They're quite big and solid.
My farm was up in the hills, and they had a different breed of sheep. They were Cheviots.
Oh, I heard their wool's really sought after.
Yes, it's very hard wearing, and they use it for carpets.
Right.
I was interested in the amount of supplements they add to animals' feed nowadays. Like, even the chickens got extra vitamins and electrolytes in their feed.
Yes, I found that too. And they're not cheap. But my farmer said some are overpriced for what they are, and he didn't give them as a matter of routine, just at times when the chickens seemed to particularly require them.
Yes, mine said the same. He said certain breeds of chickens might need more supplements than the others, but the cheap and expensive ones are all basically the same. So, did your farm have any other livestock, Diana?
Yes, dairy cows. I made a really embarrassing mistake when I was working in the milk shed. Some cows had been treated with antibiotics, so their milk wasn't suitable for human consumption, and it had to be put in a separate container. But I got mixed up, and I poured some milk from the wrong cow in with the milk for humans, so the whole lot had to be thrown away. The farmer wasn't too happy with me.
I asked my farmer how much he depended on the vet to deal with health problems. I'd read reports that the livestock's health is being affected as farmers are under pressure to increase production. Well, he didn't agree with that, but he said that actually some of the stuff the vets do, like minor operations, he'd be quite capable of doing himself.
Yeah, my farmer said the same, but he reckons vet skills are still needed.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Now we've got to give a bit of feedback about last term's modules. Just short comments, apparently. Shall we do that now?
Okay, so medical terminology.
Well, my heart sank when I saw that, especially right at the beginning of the course, and I did struggle with it.
I thought it'd be hard, but actually, I found it all quite straightforward. What did you think about diet and nutrition?
Okay, I suppose.
Do you remember what they told us about pet food and the fact that there's such limited checking into whether or not it's contaminated? I mean, in comparison with the checks on food for humans, I thought that was terrible.
I think the module that really impressed me was the animal disease one, when we looked at domesticated animals in different parts of the world, like camels and water buffalo and alpaca. The economies of so many countries depend on these, but scientists don't know much about the diseases that affect them.
Yes. I thought they'd know a lot about ways of controlling and eradicating those diseases, but that's not the case at all. I loved the wildlife medication unit. Things like helping birds that have been caught in oil spills. That's something I hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, I thought I might write my dissertation on something connected with that.
Right. So, actually, I was thinking something along the same lines.
Is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've just gone through one that section 3, and I think you identify how I went through, even though there were some technical challenges at first. I was still able to go through this successfully. So as they speak, you go ahead and follow the approach that I have given you earlier. Thank you very much.